experience?
It was cute, but I like to go on. It was smaller than I thought it was gonna be.
Did you do the one in New York or?
Oh, no, it's okay.
No, I meant, did you do, like, have you ever been to the one that they have in New York? It's a person. I was just telling her, we're supposed to do it in December, and two girlfriends that in New York, and I saw this one, it's like, well, the girl and my girl, instead of like using like that in 2 hours or whatever, for the kids to go, let's do it here. But I didn't know if they were similar.
Then I got to I'm not anymore.
Okay.
It was really cute. They had a lot of, they had like funny birds and stuff there and like houses.
Oh, that's nice.
Me too, I wanna go.
I think we should do
friends
a.
thing now.
Yeah, what's that? I was gonna name it.
I think we should do an outing out of it and all go. Yeah, interesting.
Well, I'm so with those, like, Kathy and those meetings, but then friends get married. What? Kathy's like, man. Sounds like a problem. You ask me. Or. What did you ask me? Just making sure you got this out for sure.
Yeah, it's on an account.
One from Mark, one from David.
I will see it there. Yeah.
That may not been the first time I used that.
And
I think I may have used that back when I single day, you know. I don't have that many.
Are you doing good too? Oh, you're listening. I'm talking long while and I was like, what's the last time you were this?
So in front of festival, you.
I wish they said.
The song. Came on when I was in the gym. Now, on the stairs, you're like, just like doing some curls, like. Well, like doing actual dips. Oh, yeah. I love it. Oh, I love Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Do the dip, guys.
I didn't see.
Okay, buddy. Welcome. Team meeting. Okay, we're gonna get rocking. Thanks for being on time. So exciting. Okay, giveaway for the day today. Tell me. Oh yeah, while we're doing this, if you have wants and needs, please scan this guy, get it submitted, and we'll pull up our spreadsheet and do it together. Tell me how many active listings there are in Davis County as of today.
There was like right around 600 and like 650-ish or so.
Okay, we've got 650. What other guesses?
647.
647,
653.
654, 653. We've got a 637.
Right.
Not exactly 100 today.
What?
Bountiful has 100.
Exactly. What
Exactly.
Anyone else? Any guesses?
672.
Oh, are you pulling it up right now? Okay, we verified he does not have the MLS open.
Yeah.
So the finalizer, 672.
679.
Did you see my?
I know.
Yeah.
Cheater. Cheater. We'll go
Being right isn't good enough anymore.
You know, anytime I can beat out Nick, I feel like I just win, right?
How does this?
Sounds like getting it right for the book. I'd be.
Oh my God, that's better.
Win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, think first to understand. I think there's a lot of us that could use a lesson on communication, think first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results, teamwork. Together everyone achieves more, trust starts with honesty, selling cell phones for the remaining.
$29 QW here.
Trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, success with results through people. I would love to know if anybody in last week had a situation that we saw culture in action. So one of these things happened this week and culture in action happened in a transaction, a conversation with another agent, something along those lines.
Me and Johnson have worked together, we're currently working together on a deal.
Are you gonna use creativity or teamwork?
We creatively work together to get a win for both of our customers.
I gave them a lawnmower, they don't get their windows fixed, it's a win.
Win-win or no deal. I like that. That's a great example. Nice.
And we had
Anyone
great communication
I mean,
and it was a success. And they made a commitment to give us a lot more.
is it great if both sides don't say it's great? Like,
Ooh, that shouldn't feel like.
The mower was a less dollar value, so I think you won on that one.
I tell you, we have the headlight, it just needs to be put back.
All right, integrity, do the right thing. Justin, fix the headlight. I would love for you guys, I just think that there's sometimes a disconnect between who we are as a culture of a company, and then maybe even just the industry in general, or sometimes we're gonna deal with somebody and it's not always about being right, it's about living by our values, and how do we come up with a resolution? I think a lot of times we as agents, because we care so much about our clients, we get emotionally attached to the transaction, and that's great. And at the end of the day, we've got to remember that these things are important, and don't compromise who you are or what you do for a situation or a transaction. Hey, Score, welcome. Our very first K-Score graduate. So if you guys don't know what K-Score is, talk to anybody on the leadership team later. If you have someone who is interested in getting licensed in real estate and has not yet, we as an office have some scholarships available that we can send them through real estate school. It's a partnership with Kaplan. So that's super exciting. Our very first graduate out of this office. That's awesome. We've got a pretty stacked up pipeline. Welcome. Thank you guys. That was the lamest. Right? Oh, so
done
much better.
in like 4 weeks.
Oh,
So,
you know who this is?
that.
Oh, yes, she's not messing around. She
No,
was like,
she-
get me in and out.
Love it, dialed in. Let's get like a phone with you.
Oh, I just get bucket filled?
Oh, cute.
Oh, cute, baby. Do we have any bucket fills? Anybody want to fill some buckets this week? Something good happened in the office, somebody did something nice for you. What are our bucket fills this?
Wade really is good.
That bucket fill's not getting you off the list.
Anybody else?
Anyone else do that?
Yesterday, Southern Kenzie brought us all pumpkins, all leadership for the.
Yeah, that was so cute.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I was gonna say, I interrupted Eden yesterday for something I thought was very important. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Very, interrupting. but it was
And we're
really
getting
good.
it taken care of.
Okay.
Sean still takes my phone call, so I appreciate that.
Bucket filling, love it, love it. I want to fill Chris's bucket. He doesn't hear you because he's clearing over in his office, but Chris has been a huge part of just helping get Nicole onboarded,
wait,
trained, and
what do you
just
mean
has
by that?
stepped
Is
up
it
and done
for-
whatever we need him to do. So Chris, we're filling your bucket.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Also, Chris's bucket too, because he helped us with our database on Friday. Yeah.
Yay. Love it. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I have a quick one, to Eden and Chris for getting my command switched over.
Woo, good, got y'all switched. Love it. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe you have one?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, but he's not here to Ken. He's always so quick. I doubted myself on a
Yeah.
form. And honestly, within minutes, he answers and it's not the first time. So thank you for that. It's really nice to have this option.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love it, love it. We've got such good broker support.
Okay.
Hey,
I want to do one real quick. My hand's been up for a minute.
Yeah, whatever you can do, that'd be-
I wanted to say thanks to Nick. We taught Ignite last week and you did such a great job. It was a good
Yeah,
class.
I
You did an
don't
awesome
really
job.
know what they're looking at.
You know, I'm gonna do that. I can go now.
Maybe we do it.
I'll be back in a bit too.
Right,
awesome. Anyone else? Did I miss any other hands? Okay,
I don't blame you, so hopefully, just let Jeff know that you can do it when you get home, cause
Halloween party and our chili cook-off is Tuesday, October 31st from 11:30 to 1. Listen, costumes are highly
Yeah.
encouraged. If you live in my Halloween world, you're working.
how's
But
your
then
looking on time? Like,
Yeah. If you don't have a costume, just go ahead and send me a little text. I promise I have a costume you
Okay.
can wear. And we have something up our sleeves. Justin I think you've worn one of my costumes in the past.
Keep moving forward.
I don't think so.
I could definitely find something that you would be able to be. I will send you options.
Are you on the option train?
And
I think we should
and we're
say, if
doing
you take her up on
There's
that
an
offer, you
option
have to
that you
choose
can-
one.
Okay.
for testing or anything until we get right step five.
Yeah,
So,
Person in the office to-
Adjust it.
and then I also would like to say that it's a chili cook-off and we take our chili cook-offs seriously around here. So, because all you're gonna hear all day is Sean talking about how great his chili is.
I will not say a single word between now and then. Bring the best chili you can
Best chili that you
and you
can.
might have a chance.
My chili comes from Michigan and it is top.
I welcome all the great chilies. Another word.
I think you meant.
Yes. A fantastic surprise. We always have a fun prize. Also, you get to say you won, which is a really big.
It's really exciting to say that you
You
beat
won.
Sean's chili, just saying.
I think Kenzie did win
I
last
did
year.
win last year.
Kenzie won last year, not Sean off of a stinking throne. So anyway, come prepared. We're gonna have fun. We still will have our awards that day, so we're gonna celebrate our top producers. I thought we were gonna have it on this. We're gonna celebrate our top producers for the month of September. and we're super excited for it. So come dressed up. I know a lot of kids are out of school this day. If you have kids and you want to bring them to a little trick or treat around us, bring them.
Aw, I can't be doing
Yeah, we're
trick or
trick-or-treating
treating.
around offices for you. So bring your kids to come trick or treat in offices. Around offices.
Eden, do you want to talk about the Profit Share Virtual Summit?
Yes, okay, the time on this is wrong, your flyer is right though, it's this Thursday, from 9 to 3. And, I opted for our office to pay for this event, because I think with the amount of growth that our office is having, Profit Share is a huge opportunity for us right now. We actually just looked at our numbers and our profit share in this specific office is up 41%.
That's a big
Like a
deal.
lot, big deal. And so I see a huge opportunity for you guys to tap into this and start getting passive income from it. And it's my commitment to you guys. I want to help you build your profit share. I don't want you to lift a finger, but if this is something that you're interested in, they've got Linda McKissick. She's earning over $1 million a year in profit share. Some of the top profit share earners talking about how they've built it. So if this is something that you want to do, please come to this event. We'll have lunch provided. And it's my goal, like my perfect world, to have your profit share pay for your cap. So at that point, you're at Keller Williams for free. So that's kind of like my first level that I want to get you guys to. So if you're interested,
A little QR code.
yeah, scan the QR code and then be here Thursday at 9. I'm excited. It's gonna be real good. They've got huge panel like Jen Lewis, Jason Abrams, Mo Anderson. It's gonna be awesome. So it's gonna kind of get back to the basics of what profit share is and the best practices of how to build it. So very excited.
And Eden does an awesome job.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. I'm gonna give it to you for a minute. Business Planning Clinic 2024, you guys, this is coming up November 2nd. You can't see the time, so it's a surprise. Just kidding. It's November 2nd, and it is from 9:30 to 4:30. 9:30 to 4. Scan the QR code. We're gonna talk about shift today. I cannot express to you enough how important it is for you to be in a business planning clinic and to actually have clarity on your goals for the year and where you want to go. It is really hard to get where you're going if you don't know how to get there or you don't have clarity. So please scan the QR code. It's gonna be right here. And it's from 9:30 to 4. It is an all-day event for those of you that have been here for business planning before. You will walk out with a business plan. So we're gonna. So everybody good on the scans? We got it? Is everybody else signed up? Gucci, Allison Brown. You have a Gucci on. Is there something?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a bold lab of the week. So this week our bold last 30 is power.
Oh,
So-
weird. We just talked about that.
So what do you think you need to be more clear on? Like, where do you need more power in your business? So be thinking of that, like, we're hearing a lot of people trying to figure out their why for the next year as they're getting into business planning, revamping your schedule. Do you need to be more clear on what you're doing in time blocking? More clear in your communication, kind of the Y4C2Ts. And do you need to be more clear on your tools, like using Command and DocuSign and practicing through transactions with that? And get help from Chris or any of us in the office. And then be clear on your goals. Do you know your contracts? Are you clear on those? Are you clear on your job? You have 5 jobs as an agent: lead generate, attend appointments, negotiate contracts, scripts and role play, and I forgot.
Spend the money.
Oh, spend the money.
We follow up.
Yep, we follow. Love it. Perfect. Next one. And then we have our next, our November lead generation day and business building activities. We're gonna do an evening one this time. It'll be on Monday, November 6th from 4 to 7. It's, you really need people to be under contract by about November 15th to get paid before the end of the year. So we're gonna do a final dash, lead generation day for this year in November 6th. So come to that. They've been pretty fun. People, I don't know if anybody in here came to one, but if you've come to one, they're pretty fun. We'll enjoy them. It's fun to all get together and do it.
We generate together. There's no children in the room, right? Guys, in case anyone hasn't told you yet, that guy. You're sent.
That's my hopes and dreams.
So if you don't have a plan for Christmas cash, this is a great way to do it. Allison. Family reunion. Do I just push and it will play?
Yes.
Okay. Mel Robbins is a big freaking deal. My sister doesn't, she has nothing to do with real estate. She goes, wait, did I see Mel Robbins is coming to your real estate convention? I said, yeah. She goes, I want to go. I was like, come with me. That's a big deal, you guys. If you don't know who Mel Robbins is, she's like best-selling author. She has a phenomenal podcast. She's a super smart businesswoman, very direct, tells it like it is. I love her. I share her podcast all the time with people. Early bird registration ends on October 31st. The price will go up to $8.99. It will continue to go up about $100 a month until the event. It will end probably a little over $1,000. You will not find a cheaper place that family reunion will be held than Vegas. You can make it super affordable. You can drive if you want to. You can carpool if you want to. You can fly on Spirit if you want to take your life in your own hands. You can take a gray. You can ride a bike. There's a lot of cheap ways to get to Vegas. It's really close. You can ride a bike. If you got a bike, it's going to take you. You can remember time is money. But you can share rooms with people. There's a lot of inexpensive places to stay in and around Vegas. It's going to sell out. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be electric. Last I heard, we're doing our awards, our regional awards at Family Reunion in Vegas. It's going to be a good time. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you register by Halloween. And they are anticipating sellout. Who's already registered?
Let's go to Vegas, baby.
It's gonna be so much fun. I want to see every hand up in the room by our next meeting. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast just came out. So those of you that remember a couple years ago, Gary did, I think, like a CEO podcast, which was phenomenal. Kind of went into like why he formed Keller Williams and then just thinking through acting like a CEO all the time. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast with Jason Abrams, who always brings good energy and fun. So that's a great, I have people ask me all the time for podcast recs. That's a good one.
They just
Barely dropped just.
They just dropped their first one, and it's with Phil Jones. Phil Jones from Nugget Account, the Exactly What to Say guy. It's awesome.
And next week is what Gary told.
DK himself, who is in the middle of a battle for all of us in the industry. Yep, the only brokers that didn't settle, stand enough on the stand.
I do.
Upcoming events recap. So the 26th Profit Share Summit, that is this Thursday, be in the room 9 to 3. On Halloween, stop by our Halloween office party. It's gonna be super fun. Chili cook-off. From the 4th or on the 11th, business planning clinic. On the 6th, dash for cash. Market center numbers. I think that Chris has been sharing these out. So one thing that we just wanted to highlight here is, I think
Our listings taken are up.
But if you guys look, our listings taken are up. Our listings taken volume is up. Our contracts written is down. The reason we track that gives us, just like we're gonna talk about numbers and you guys being able to predict your business, by tracking this, it helps us predict what we think is gonna close in the next little bit. Our closed units are up and our closed volume is up. If you look at this compared to the WFR MLS, so we're looking at the whole office, and then we're looking right here on WFR as well. Contracts written is not accurate when you're comparing it against the market, just so you guys know, because we don't see everything. This is just counting. I think they count this on pended maybe. I don't even know where this comes from on this number, but all of these, look how much we're outperforming the market as an office. So if this was your individual numbers and you were looking at them, you would say my closed units compared to last September were up 2%. The market as a whole was down 15%. That means you outperformed the market by 17%. Does that make sense? Is that a powerful story to tell?
17.4%.
17.4%. If you know your numbers, this is a powerful message to share. If you don't have numbers yet, you can share what we're doing as an office, because This is creating momentum for all of you. It says we're showing up, we're doing the activities, we're shifting quicker than the market is shifting, right? So make sure you know your numbers. Chris has been great about sending these out. If you are not sure, this is us compared to KW Utah and compared to KWRI, which is huge. Again, look at how we're outperforming in every single category. So congratulations to us. Other than if you don't know how to tell the message or you're curious about how would you convey this or talk to other people, come and talk to any of us. We can help you with that script, with that conversation. If we were going to be making our calls, which we are because, you know, that's how we're going to get paid is by lead generation, would we do it in a TCPA friendly compliant way?
Always.
Absolutely, we would. Otherwise, we're going to be getting a fine of $500 to $1,500 per violation, and lawsuits are often brought as class action. So before you're calling, confirm that the number is not on any of the do not call lists. And there's no exception to the TCPA. Oh, this is me. Hi. Funny story about this picture. This was in the middle of a UAR convention on the freaking exhibit floor. Me and Sean are walking around, there's a whole group of us, and they're like, "Oh, you guys want your picture taken?" Or they're doing headshots, and we're all like, everyone's like, no.
It looks
It's like,
great.
"Oh, picture." So, it's fine. All right, Shift Book Club this Friday. We're gonna start talking about Shift today, but I want you to join us. Fridays at 11. It begins this Friday. Read pages 1 through 49. I promise they're super fast. It might sound like a lot of pages to you guys.
It's an easy read.
It's an easy read. If you guys remember, who was here when we did our Shift show a couple years last year? Mhm. So we went through and we broke down Shift by, can you get me into my? We went through and we broke down Shift each week by tactic. So we're gonna do it a little bit different today. I'm gonna do kind of a broad overview of what the Shift tactics are. And then every Friday, the leadership team is gonna be here to help walk through the chapters that we've read in the Shift book that week and help us dissect and going even deeper than just talking about, because I think when we do book clubs, oftentimes we're sharing ideas and ahas and the great takeaways we have from the book. But we're going to actually take it and say, how do we now move into action with what we learned on our reading segment for that week? So it's broken into 6 weeks. Join us if you can. I promise it'll be worth your time. But I wanted to just quickly go through what the 12 Shift tactics are, and then I'm going to dive deeper on a couple of them that will set you guys up for success for Friday's book club. So Shift tactic number 1 is get real, get right. So Shift tactic number 1 is all about mindset. So I'm going to go into this one a little bit deeper in just a minute. Shift tactic number 2 is remargining your business. So this is where your budget and expenses come into play.
Wow.
And I know that that's always like such a buzzkill for everybody because nobody wants to talk about budgets or expenses or the fact that we may potentially be living a little bit higher lifestyle than what our pipeline can actually justify. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into that one. I know that's never a really fun topic for anybody. We're going to talk about number 3, which is doing more with less. And what that means is leverage, right? Like what are some things that right now maybe you're paying for that you need to jump back into business? Or what are things that you could be paying less than you're kind of doing them that you need to leverage? Tactic number 4 is find the motivated. This is all about lead gen. If you guys missed the team meeting that Eden did, how many weeks ago was that, Eden? Maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago. Yeah, all around, it was a lead gen playbook. You guys, that was such a great one. Go back on our YouTube channel, watch that one, because that's going to dive deep into lead generation and what we need to be doing right now to find those motivated buyers. Tactic number 5 is lead conversion. So that's going to help you work through, and these are all tactics we're going to dive deep into during our leadership book club, but getting to the table, how do we actually convert the lead? I know a lot of you are having a lot of conversations right now, but what are you doing to actually convert after you find the motivated people? Number 6 is catch people in your web. It's an internet lead generation tactics. Number 7 is pricing ahead of the market. This, I think, is one of the biggest things we need to focus on right now. I went to a pricing strategy certification class a few weeks ago. I've got a lot of really good notes that I want to share with you guys. As you know, Troy's done some great classes. There's a ton of us in here that have done trainings on this. It's the most critical thing you can do for your sellers right now, is price the house right and help them understand why. Number 8 is standing out from the competition. So seller staging strategies. Number 8 is how do you create urgency? So overcoming buyer reluctance. Does anybody have buyers that have some reluctance right now? Anybody like got a little punch in the gut when those interest rates? Well, scary for a minute. Number 10 is expand the options, so create a financing option. I had a client that just called me earlier this week. We had a conversation, it was actually Sunday, but we talked all about they've got a situation where they're looking at a potential seller financing. What would that look like? And they had a lot of questions around it. So just knowing that there is some creative financing options available and where do you get the information? Number 11 in the shift tactic is master the market of the moment. So stay training focused and be the expert. I cannot stress enough how this will separate you from your competition. I know that sometimes we all want to just be hopefully optimistic and everything's gonna be sunshine and rainbows regardless. If you don't master the market of the moment and you can't speak to the market of the moment with your clients, this will be a differentiator between you and the people that are experts at what's happening in the market. And number 12 is bulletproofing the transactions. So working through what are issues that come up during the transaction and how do we solve those, right? Because we all have issues that come up and there's a lot of times where we get a call because something's falling through. I know Sean has these calls all the time too. I know I get them, Ian gets them, Trey gets them, Ken gets them. We all get these phone calls that are saying, hey, they're gonna cancel, I need my earnest money release or whatever. And when we start kind of peeling back the layers of what the issue is, how could we solve that? We need to come up with better solutions to bulletproof our transactions because anytime we're in a shifting market, is there a little bit of uncertainty that happens around the market? There is, right? So there's a little bit of uncertainty, nerves are high, emotions are high. If you can't speak to the market of the moment, if you don't know how to speak to the client and help them navigate the market, you guys hear me say this a lot, but your job is not to meet your client emotion for emotion. That is not your job. Your job is to actually help them buy and sell real estate, right? And so your job is to pull the deal together if it's warranted. So how do we bulletproof our transactions?
And what time's that? What
I'm
time?
11 on Fridays for the next 6 weeks. Minus Thanksgiving, we're not gonna be here.
Eleven to
If you
what?
guys wanna meet, you can, but we're not gonna. 11 to 12,
What is that on Zoom by any chance?
only in person. If you don't have a copy of Shift and after today you decide you need to get one, then Chris has some in his office. If you want a physical book to read, I think he has some, right? If you want a PDF copy.
It's on Audible too.
It is on Audible. It's actually a great listen. So get real, get right. So set your mindset, take actions to thrive in a shift. So do you guys think, let's talk a little bit just for a minute about the market in general. Do you guys think that we're experiencing a shift? Yeah. Tell me about that. What's happening in our market? The open discussion.
Rates again,
What?
the rates again.
Rates again?
Rates go up and the prices come down.
Some price point listings are taking a minute.
Yeah, we're seeing a little longer days on market.
And that shifted too, I think, like, things were moving really quickly here, and then it's like, they shifted a little bit, and now it's like, I think you have a lot of different mini markets even that are moving and not and
We're
stagnant.
gonna
and-
talk about that a little
yeah.
bit. Yep, knowing what market you're actually in. I just this week, multiple offers, I was in a multiple offer situation. And I was like, wait, what? And then I'm thinking, I had to like dust off the old UAS broker support, so I was like, what am I supposed to word an escalation clause? It's been a hot minute since I had to do one of these, but that was what we felt was the best solution. So that's happening, right? So knowing the market. What are some of the signs that the market is changing a little bit? Temperature's changing in the market.
Days on market are going up.
Days on market are going up.
I-
Noticed on some of the Facebook groups, some agents are like, there's some good part-time jobs.
Yep, I was gonna say, social media.
A lot of that.
I think I'm getting asked more what's going on in real estate.
More conversations are
I
happening.
think people are approaching me saying, like, hey, what's going on?
Absolutely. How is it making you feel? We're talking about all the external stuff that's going on. What's going on in your gut? This is a safe space. We can be vulnerable with each other.
Ramen noodles.
That's what called straight ramen. Alex says that's a treat for her.
Come over, I got a taco.
Like, what else? How are you guys, like, how is the market making you feel? Like, we need to think outside the box. Thinking outside the box. I'll tell you, a lot of the conversations we're having, there's a lot of fear happening in the market right now. And it's okay, we can be safe with each other. I think the more that we have conversations around, like, how we are feeling, what can we do to combat it? It's gonna help us all grow and be better together. Because in a shifting market, there's so much opportunity. But if we put on our brave face and when people ask us about real estate, what's our standard answer? It's great. Or worse, I hope none of you are this guy, like, oh, it's the worst time to buy a house. Oh, the market can be a lot of things. Your language matters. That's something that we'll dive into during the shift club. But I just think it's important to really like be taking the temperature of your clients, of yourself, of your fellow agents. Like, what are we feeling and how do we talk about it? Yeah.
Well, and you have to think of, in every market that we've ever been into, somebody has to buy and somebody has to sell.
Absolutely.
So either you're gonna be the person or you're not.
Sure, absolutely. So, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. Do you guys really believe this? I know you guys have heard my story. I'm just gonna keep saying it. I got licensed in 2007. Was that a scary time to be in real estate? Holy crap. Like, I was strapping a seatbelt onto a roller coaster ride and I was like, what is going on as everybody's bailing off the roller coaster? They're like cutting their seatbelts to get out. And I was like, here we go, buckle up, let's roll. So there is, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. And Albert Einstein said that. He's super freaking smart. So a big piece of our, the very first tactic of getting real, getting right is to adopt a growth mindset based on the reality of your market. Notice the word reality, not just growth mindset, no matter what. Embracing the opportunity of the market with focused action, getting clarity to be the local expert. You must know your numbers. We're going to talk about an activity you can do today on that. And then set your priorities to thrive in the market that's coming. So you have to be prepared. You've got to be in the right mindset for sure. So shifts happen. It's the reality of the real estate market. One thing that I wanted to say about shifts happen, and I thought I had this slide, but now I think I hit it because you guys, there's so much content. So I'm just going to go through what I can go through. But in shift, when you guys are reading this on page 7, when do we see shifts in the market regularly?
After it's already happened.
Seasonal shifts. Seasonality in the state of Utah. Yes, right? So we see seasonality. We go, well, this is January. This is December. We see this, right? We see this, and we see a little bit of 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 this, right? This is seasonality. Why do we not get freaked out every time we see this in the market? Because we're used to it. We know what to expect. We're like, ooh, winter is coming, right? So right about here, we start doing the activities to keep our pipeline full. And we start we probably don't all spend the way we do in the summer when it's just like, woo, do all the things. Winter comes and we kind of hunker down a little bit because we're used to the seasonality of our market. That's a shift. So if you think of it in that sense too, what goes down always does what? Comes back up, always, right? And are there people that consistently produce all through this time? What do you think the biggest difference?
They don't stop there.
Habits, focused activities. They don't stop doing it. They don't hunker down for winter going, well, the shift is coming, so I should just not do anything. And then I'll ramp back up in the spring. This is true. Like, we hear this all the time. Anita's laughing because she's been in business a long time. She's like, yeah. Everybody's like, oh, nobody works in December. I oftentimes have my best month in December, right? So just knowing that that's the reality, there's shifts that are happening all the time. The reason that it's not as scary when it's a seasonal shift is because we know it's coming, we know when it's going to end, and we can predict. We can do the same thing with any shifting market if we're paying attention to the numbers and what they're telling us, right? So the market shifted. Some signs of this are sales volume and transactions have dropped significantly. The inventory is climbing up. Buyers are more reluctant than ever. Sellers are increasingly out of touch and anxiety is high. Those are some ways we know the market's shifted. You don't get to decide what the market will do, but you definitely get to decide what you will do with it. There's a lot of great quotes throughout the shift book. This one I completely believe wholeheartedly. It's never about the market, you guys. It's about what you do with the market, right? Market doesn't matter. Market does not matter. This just gives us an idea. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. This is saying that the seller's market, they think that it's about less than 5 months of inventory. They're considering a seller's market. A balanced market is 5 to 7 months, and a buyer's market's more than 7. How do you guys feel about this in our own personal market? 3 months is sellers.
3 to 4.
3 to 4 months, you still call it a seller's market. So balanced would be 4 to 6, in your opinion?
I think typically this holds true, and I've always heard that since I've been in real estate. But when the interest rates get jacked up as fast as they have been, we kind of still are in the seller's market as far as the demand out there. But at the same time, it's kind of shifted off of these numbers.
And again, depending on area, depending on availability in that market, right? The interesting thing about the property that I'm in multiple offers with this week is it's a super rare area. And it's actually the weirdest part about it. It's recreation property, guys, and it's overpriced, quite frankly. But it's so rare that anything ever comes up in that area. And so the people that know the area and want the area are watching the area even today. And they're like, we don't care what the interest rate is. We don't care what the price is. It's so rare that those pieces of land come up that there's multiple offers competing for it, right? Because it's all about market and knowing what it is, right? So I agree. I think that's probably pretty accurate. I think, Mark David, to your point, I think there's a lot of interesting things happening in our market right now. We were talking about this in our financial meeting last week. There's a lot of things where normally like these things lead to this. And we're like, it's not really happening true. So I think you'll see a little bit more of that where we're saying interest rates have risen so quickly that we still have the inventory. I think we're shifting into more of a buyer's market, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. Still pretty neutral, even more a little on the seller side, depending on the price point that you're in. What causes economic shifts? What happened in 1979 on an economic shift?
I was born.
18% interest rates. Yep, interest rate went very high, very quickly. They skyrocketed. 1987, what happened in 1987? Bond market. So we said, I can't remember. I thought I had a note right here with that one. 2006, what happened in 2006? I'm saying like not great lending practices, that led to that, right? Appraisal issues. What did you say? Predatory lending. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. You got me, Wade. Wade and I taught Ignite together. It was so much fun. Wasn't it? Did you have as much fun as I did? It was pretty fun. 2020. What happened in 2020? What economic shift happened in 2020?
The vid.
Whoa, the vid, the pandemic, right? And what did we think was going to happen when that happened?
We thought it was gonna crash.
Oh, we thought the world was over, right? We were like hunkering down. We're trying to figure out what we can do. We're like, oh, gotta negotiate our leases. We have all these things that everyone's trying to do. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, wow, this took a shift, but in a different direction than we were anticipating, right? And then now, what's going on in our economic forecast? Inflation, interest rates, appreciation in many markets went up drastically. So that in combination with interest rates,
We've got the war concerns.
the war
popping in right now.
concerns,
Well, and builders stopped.
builders stop building. How many of you, I know I did, how many of you had a piece of land or a development under contract that they canceled in 2020 because all of a sudden the market went, and they said, oh, we're gonna pull out of this deal because we have these other projects that we need to finish, and we're still a little gun shy from what happened in 2007, right? So that still is an issue. So there's a lot of interesting factors going on that's causing a shift. Market economic shifts are inevitable. I think that this might not hit any of my slides, so some of these we're just gonna skip through real quick. When a market shifts, there's only one thing to do. You must shift with it. And in truth, there's two shifts you have to make. You first have to make a mental shift, and you have to do an action shift. And right now, I hate to say it, there's so many of you that are stuck on the mental shift. You can't get past it. You're living in a couple years ago, and you don't want to recognize that there's a different responsibility of action that's needed, right? So get real, your mindset has to shift. I'm gonna skip that. You can't control the market, you can control your outlook. The market doesn't determine your success, but it does determine your strategy. So language matters. Let's talk about this for a minute. Christy, I know you're a big, oh, Christy. Say, Christy, you're a big believer. Ken, you're in this spot. Christy.
Yeah, to her.
So the language that you use matters. If any of you were at the Jared James event a couple weeks ago that our association did, he talked about this. And when we use the words, like when we hear the words crash, is that a scary word versus there could be a market correction? Yeah. Right? One of the things that he said is instead of saying so many people are like, oh, the market's hard or the market's doing this, it's doing that, it's a challenging market. It's a complex market, right? Like thinking through the words that you use and not looking at, and even in your own mind, not looking at this market as a threat to what we're doing, but looking at it as an opportunity. Because you guys know, and there's going to be a slide here, so I thought I had to go through it, that anytime that people take market share in a shifting market, they never give it back. You guys know that? No. Because if you keep doing the same activities, that's when Keller Williams became #1, was in the last market shift. We've never gone backwards on that position. Because when you come in and take market share and you're doing the activities that so many of your peers are not going to do, if you continue to even just maintain or grow your market share in the market when it's better, you will gain more market share because you've stayed in action, right? Does that make sense now that you're hearing it that way? Yep. So thinking through those things, there's a lot of opportunity in this market. And I know there can be some uncertainty, you can have some fear around it. There's so much opportunity. And if you look at it that way and just now figure out, like, we all love to solve problems, right? So we look at it and say, well, here's the problem. How do we solve it? And if we can do that, because if there's a problem, I'll solve it. Check out my DJ balls that I popped into my mind. I'm sorry, I was like going off on a little thing there. That brought me right back to real life.
It brought us back to when we were kids, is what it did.
Right? And then an abnormal market versus the normal market. Does anyone think that the market from 2020 to 2022 was a normal market? No, it was absolutely abnormal market, right? So if that's the only context that you have as an agent, because I know a lot of you started during that time or going into that time, or maybe that's when you had your very best years yet, and you're thinking that was what the market looked like. What was pushing your business forward? Momentum of the market. It wasn't the activities you were doing. I know some of you were really great at activities. Most of us got really lazy, right? Myself included. I think that there was a lot of success hidden in laziness because of what the market was doing. Even if people had never thought about buying a house, but all of a sudden interest rates are 3%, you're like, yeah, I think I will buy a house. And those people were calling and saying, hey, Justin, I saw this house here. I just want to write an offer on it. We probably don't have time to see it. It's going to get multiple offers. Did that make Justin's world a little bit easier? I know listen, I'm not going to say there weren't challenges. There's definitely challenges in that market. But if we think that's a normal market and our clients think that's a normal market, what do we need to do? Educate. Got to educate and inform. And we need to use words like, that was actually an abnormal market that we were living in. Those interest rates were not normal interest rates, right? So we need to learn how to have the conversation because language does matter. This I think is really important, and this is also in the book. I'd love for you guys to just think this through as we're reading it. There's 3 types of people. So there are type number 1 that are unnecessarily pessimistic, right? So they just, no matter what, sky's gonna fall. They're naturally pessimistic. And they're just like, this is the worst market. They're saying it's going to crash. They're telling nobody to buy real estate. They're just getting out of the market. There's the second type who hopefully wish for the best and they believe they can't fail, right? So if just as you're categorizing yourself, are you pessimistic? Are you just hopefully wishful and you don't even believe you can fail at all? And then the third are those who they respect the fact that they might fail. And they actively prepare for the worst, but while striving for the best. So that's a resourcefully realistic. So I think that there's unnecessarily pessimistic. There's enough bad going on. You can find that without trying to look more. So don't live in that camp. Unrealistically positive. I think that actually, normally I'm just gonna be like, positivity is great. You got to do it. I agree. accept the fact that if you're not in touch with what's actually happening in the market, and someone comes to you as a consultant truly for advice, and you're just like, everything's sunshine and rainbows, you should buy a house, yay! You're unrealistically positive, and they may not think that you actually have your finger on the pulse of what is happening. Does that make sense? And then the resourcefully realistic. I think that most of the people in this room fall into this category, and if you don't, I hope we can get you to fall into the category. You've got to look at it and say, you know what, some of the things that I was doing, I might fail at. They may no longer work. So I've got to get resourceful. Got to get realistic, and I've got to be resourceful. And I've got to look at what's actually happening in the market and be able to predict and prepare for what could be the worst, and then move forward with what's going to be the best. Yeah.
Something that Kimber said when she was here teaching has been on like repeat in my head was hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And that just keeps going.
Absolutely, like hope for the worst, or hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That was what she said. Ken.
I think you can have two of those processes. One's an internal process. You're what's the word? Unrealistically optimistic. In other words, internally, you're internalizing that, saying, I have this, I can do this, you know, I'm gonna do what it takes to be successful. But then outwardly, you're a realist.
Yeah.
And you're giving people an accurate picture of what's going on. I love your characterization of what you say it was a complicated market.
Yeah.
Complicated market. Because complicated market to a client means, hey, you need me. It's complicated.
Yep.
And you can even, you know, expand on that as to why it's complicated and why they need you.
Yeah.
Financing, inspections, you know, all that stuff. So
Protecting their earnest money. Protecting earnest money, huge. Anna, did you raise your hand? Oh, I thought you had a comment. So yeah, I agree with that, Ken, and I think that what we tell ourselves in our head is important, right? So that's where the positive, Patty positive can live. It's right here in your head. You should have that person there telling you every day you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. I can make fun of affirmations because I do them myself. You can have those in your head, exactly right. Your mindset can say, no matter what, you're not going to fail. You're going to succeed, right? And make sure that you know how to actually speak to what the market's going to look like. There will be some challenges ahead, and it is complex. It's going to be, I truly believe we're going to see a more complex market than at least probably most of us in this room have ever seen. Right? I know Ken and Sean, you guys have been in business a long time. Sean, it's like what, 64 years now? Long time back for something else. He had write offers. He had to get like a piece of stone and like chisel them in. But I actually do believe there's going to be some more unique challenges than we've ever seen. I believe.
I was talking with a guy in the finance world. He's kind of a global strategist for several large companies. And he said that he thinks interest is probably going to peak at 10% around next April or May. So his thing was, you know, buckle up. You got to figure out the strategies to offset that. Yes, I think everybody's under the impression that probably the last half of next year is going to be better because of the election. But we've got to adapt day by day and month by month.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're gonna have a little activity around that. Clarity. So growth is gonna come from clarity. You have to know your local market. You gotta know where you've been, where you're going, where you are, and where you're going. And you have to know your own business trends and how do they match the market. And you've got to understand how to control the media spin. And there's really different markets that we're looking at any given time. Right? So we're looking at a global market, we're looking at a national market, we're looking at our local market, and then sometimes just, I think with Wade's point earlier, maybe it was Nick, there's there's micro markets too. If you're working in some of those micro markets, you have to know those markets as well, right? So if I'm just looking at global headlines or the national headlines, I'm going to use this example again this week that I'm going to offer. If I'm just looking at that and I don't pay attention to like the local little tiny micro market of that area, do you think that I would be able to give great advice on what we should do with this offer? I wouldn't, right? Because we're gonna go in and go, oh, the sky's falling according to national market statistics. We should offer less on this property. We should try to get them to do all these things, right? And some micro markets that might make sense in, but if you don't know what's going on and be able to speak to, yes, nationally, this is what's happening. Here locally in Utah, here's why we're a little insulated from it. Here's some of the challenges we see coming up. If you can't speak to the market and know where you think it's gonna go and where you're currently at, you're gonna be in trouble in the next few years, truly. And I don't mean to say this, like I was in a team meeting and, do you guys know Jeremy Larkin? He's awesome. He's got a great team down in St. George, and he invited me to come to his team meeting this last week. And it was like, there was people that were just like, this is scary. Why are you like, and he's like, I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because there has to be a dose of reality that comes in at some point. Because a lot of us are just living like we were still just having business falling in our lap. And it's going to be a little more of a challenge. So our action shifts have to be, so we should be asking for clarity with two questions. What must be done right? And what must be done now? What do you think the difference is? What does that question mean when you guys hear that? I'm trying to watch me. What must be done right? What must be done now? Why is there a difference? Like, why do we gotta look at two different things?
I think for me, if I like try and make it right all the time, I don't ever do it.
Right? Like,
Um,
right?
So when it's the like, something's better than nothing, so a lot of times. The half-ass 50%, whatever, it's better than me waiting to get it right.
Anybody can say the quote of the love, Anita.
The way I used to tell it to my son. Thank God did graduate high school. It's better to hand in E-work on time than A-work a day late. Yep, so understand what your parameters are, go with what you got if it's time.
Yep, I love that. Anyone else?
I loved, these last year when we went that green top. And he's talking about Corey versus him and how everything looked amazing and it is easy to get caught up in that. And then how Corey was like, open house, like, slap it on and got the same result. So, I think that.
Yeah, I think that, I was really counting on you. I thought you were gonna have this quote. that
Sorry.
you used. No, but I love it. It wasn't that, and you've heard it wasn't his quote, it wasn't an original, but imperfect action beats perfect in action every single time. Every single time. If you are sitting, studying the market, and you're not taking any action, by the time you get it perfect, guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna change. Numbers are gonna be different, right? So I'm not saying just, it's really looking at those two things. It's not saying be sloppy, don't do the right things, but get into action. Figure out of those items that you're looking at, what actually must be done right. I think knowing the market, you've got to be right with that. You've got to know what kind of a market we're in. You can't fake it. This isn't to fake it till you make it. You've got to do it. You've got to be right with what you're talking about. You also have to get into action now. That might mean that you get some hard questions when you're calling your clients and talking to them about some challenges that other people are telling you they're seeing in the market, and you're calling to see if they have any questions about that. That might push you into, it must be done now, right? Because you've got to have those conversations, and it might push you to grow a little bit outside of your comfort zone and branch out to say, you know what, that's a really great question. I want to do a little bit more research on that, and I'm going to call you back tomorrow at 5 or whatever, right? Is anybody going to fault you for actually saying, you know what, that's a really great question, and 6 months ago, I would have had this dialed in. I'd actually like to do a little bit more research before I give you the answer to that question. Would that be okay? Is anybody going to fault you for that? I think they're going to look at you like you're a rock star that's actually staying on top of what's happening and you're willing to go to get the answers.
I mean, I don't think those have to be separate questions either, right? That can be more like, what has to be done right? Like, what do you need to correct in the shifting market to make it work with the moment you're in right now? And then out of those things, what you be doing now that's gonna make the biggest impact, right? Like,
Yep. You're so smart.
I learned.
I don't know why this arrow looks like this. Because I'm guessing something didn't translate right. So a shift is an opportunity to get back to basics. How many times have you guys heard lately? We're moving from a, what kind of market? We're moving from a speed-based market to a skill-based market, right? Do you think that there was a lot of things that we could do just because we were speeding quick? If we were the first ones to pick up the phone, if we were the first ones to write the offer, if we were the first ones to fog a mirror, we could sell real estate, right? So we're shifting from a speed-based market to a skill-based market, and you have to practice your skills. Allison, on average, how many people are coming to script practice or conversation mastery in the mornings?
3 to 4.
3 to 4 people. How many people are in our office?
245.
245 people. 3 people think it's important to practice their skill set. 3. Now I'm going to give you that there's probably a handful of people that are practicing on their own or with a partner. That's great. As long as you're practicing somewhere. Conversation mastery is important. So when you're looking at a skill-based market, it's time for you to evaluate and say, you may not have all the skills that you thought you did because you had some success in a market that was motivated to move and appreciating very quickly. You might need to reevaluate what you're doing. Conversion,
And some people have, it is a different Zoom link. So if you go to coachallison.com, it will take you to the script practice at 9 o'clock, Monday through Thursday.
9 a.m. Monday through Thursday. Conversion rates change in a shifting market. So you guys know we talk a lot about our numbers. How would we figure out our conversion rates? Right, so we say of the amount of people we talk to, how many of those did we get into an appointment with? How many of the appointments do we sign a contract? If we go on 2 appointments and we take 1 contract, we have a 50% conversion, right? Recognize your conversion rates will likely change in a shift, because what are we gonna have to do in a shifting market? Talk to more people. We have to have more leads. It's a numbers game, right? It's an absolute numbers game. If you're not having the success you want right now with the number of people that you're talking to, you need to talk to more people. You need to talk to more of the right. Okay, so know your numbers. Your conversion rates are gonna change in a shift. Again, this is where you really tracking your numbers and paying attention to what you're doing is gonna make a huge difference. Be dedicated to qualifying leads. It's okay to ask more questions. It's okay to dive deeper. If you're working with a buyer who's been on the fence for a while and they got qualified when the rates were 6.5%, it's probably time for them to update their pre-approval and make sure you're doing that, because the 80-20 rule is more important than ever before when you've got to give your focus to the most important activities, because they're going to result in 80% of your money that you make is going to come from 20%. So lead generation, lead conversion are huge. I know we went deep into those the other day, and then we're going to talk more about it, but just understanding our market forces, supply and demand is what's going to change a shift. Tracking your numbers. So we've got to know the numbers. We need to know our total active listings, our new numbers, new pendings, total closings, total showings, average showings per listing, average days on market, average price, number of price reductions and percentage of reductions, number of expires. You can get most of this information through your MLS. Total showings and average price and average showings per listing. Where would we find that information? Because it's not on the MLS. Where could we maybe go to find that?
I'm guessing Aligned is gonna start tracking it.
Aligned is gonna start tracking, so I do believe we're gonna be able to see those numbers of how many showings. I don't think it's public though.
Showing Time did it public over COVID, but I don't know.
Either way, my suggestion would be is who else has something listed in that same price point, same area? If you're not getting, if you're like, man, I only got 5 showings, but I don't know if that's average, because I haven't had a lot of listings in this area, or I haven't had a lot of listings in this price point. Look and see who the other active listings are. Guys, we can talk to other people. Actually, part of our job is communicating. Does it make us better agents to share information? If I had 5 showings and Alex had 2, and we're in the same neighborhood, we could probably share some information that's going to help each other, right? So that's how you would get that number. So track your numbers, be the market expert. So you can follow NAR, you can follow our local MLS, and then learn how to share these numbers. I'm going to send out a worksheet in just a bit that I'm going to go to expense management. I'm going to pass this out though first. So this is just understanding your market forces. So these are little worksheets. We're going to give you these each week when we're doing our book club. This is 3 pages long, but these are really good when we talk about getting into action based on the numbers that we were just talking about. There's going to be some things that it would be wise for you to start tracking. So these are numbers that they suggest you at least know. And then from these numbers, I want you to figure out the top 3 things that are gonna be important for you personally to know and to track. So when you're looking at these numbers, I would be thinking through, how would you have a conversation about these numbers and why would that be important to your buyers and sellers? Those are gonna be your top 3 things that you're gonna track. Okay, because I don't expect you to track every single statistic in every single market across the state of Utah, nationally and globally. That's too much. But from these numbers, determine what we need to track, and then your top 3 sources, the top 3 things that you are definitely gonna track. So this is a little exercise for another day. The other thing, this is really important, right? Because we've gotten clarity, we've decided we need to shift our mindset. If we don't evaluate what we're doing and if it's effective, we don't know if we're winning, right? So give yourself a true score on 1 to 5. From 1, you're a beginner, you don't know anything about this, to 5, you're an expert in that area. So things like keeping the important statistics and trends of your market, communicating what's going on with the market with my buyers and sellers, maintaining an attitude of abundance and opportunity, lead generating every day, qualifying for able, ready, and willing to buy or sell, converting motivated leads, and practicing conversations daily. I really encourage you before Friday, take some time to dive into this action worksheet and start thinking through an action plan. This gives you some ideas. What is that priority level going to be? So rate these in priority of 1 to 7. How important are they? And then what is your actual plan going to be? I really want to make sure we're staying action focused. I think that we go to a lot of training, we hear a lot of things, and we tuck them away. And I mean, you guys, if you looked at my iPad, it's just pages and pages and pages of notes. And if all we do is go and we take a lot of notes, and we're like, yeah, that was great. Ooh, that was really good. But we don't come up with a game plan and an action plan, nothing is going to change, right? So knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is so powerful though. So we got to make sure we know we're creating an action plan and what to do with it. So my challenge to you is, before we meet on Friday, I'm not going to be here, I'm so sad because I have FFL in Austin. But before you meet on Friday, take a little bit of time to go through this action worksheet. We're going to have some for you. I think most of the tactics will have some little action sheets for you, because we really want this to be impactful in a way that you're not just getting together. This isn't book club like we're getting together because we all read Oprah's book club of the month. We want to just drink wine as friends and talk about the book, right? I love those kind of books clubs too.
So there's not gonna be wine.
BYOW, I don't want to. Right, it's Friday for heaven's sakes, whatever you want to do. But really look at this book club as like a study club almost. Like, when you go to Bible study and it's different than just like
Bible
reading
study
it,
you're
like
going to
diving
next.
into it. Wine. But really take the book club as like, we're getting into action. We're shifting our strategy. We started talking about this. I mean, we did a whole shift series over a year ago, but we started talking about this almost 2 years ago. And everybody else in the market in May of 2022 was like, no, what are they talking about? Keller Williams is doing a shift show, or shift, or whatever we were calling it. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, shift, it's happening, right? And we've kind of like gone back and forth because our numbers are telling us some different stories. But be ahead of what's happening. It's going to make you a better agent, and you're going to stay ahead of everybody else in the market. We're going to see declines. We already are. It's projected that there's going to have up to a 30% decrease in associations locally and nationally. That's a lot of opportunity there, right? There's a lot of opportunity. So everybody's favorite topic, expense management. Who loves budgets? Oh gosh, guys, I do not used to love budgets. I sure do. Expense management. So before we even talk about this, because every time I talk about expenses, everybody in the room suddenly won't make eye contact with me. Everybody gets like, I don't want to talk about budgets. And so let's just, again, this is a safe space. We can be vulnerable. Nobody's perfect with their budget. It is important to be aware of right now. Okay, so when you're thinking about the fact that consumer debt is at an all-time high, all-time ever high, I mean, we're learning from, if you want to look at the nation as our parents, not to be political, but we're learning from a pretty good source, I guess. That's billions of dollars in debt. But as a consumer debt's at an all-time high. So consumer debt's like credit card debt, revolving, that kind of stuff. That's consumer debt, all-time high. Savings, all-time low. I would be willing to bet that there are people in this office, probably nobody in this room,
You mean the amount of money people are saving?
the amount of money people are saving is at an all-time low. So when you look at money in a savings account, there's some other factors that go on. Does it cost us more to go to the grocery store than it used to? Does it cost more to eat out, which so many of us are in the habit of doing? Right? All the little conveniences cost more. Like, I don't remember the last time that I did an Instacart order that it wasn't at least $150. And I don't go crazy with groceries. I feel like especially with Instacart, I stick to a list pretty good, right? Those things are happening. So consumer debt's high, savings are low. A lot of people are not managing our expenses as we should be. So let's talk about it. So when the market shifts, the first thing that must change is the business must re-expense itself. Revenuing your way out of a shift is iffy at best. Okay, so everybody has a lifestyle that you're used to living, right? What happens if our income drops below what our lifestyle is used to? Do most of us shift with our lifestyle, with our income change, or do we keep living? Charging my charge on a car because I got a closing, got a pipeline coming out. That's gonna happen, I'm sure. So many people have spent their commission before it's even under contract. You're like calculating it in your car as you're writing the offer. That's scary. And it's gonna be scarier because there are more deals falling through. Ken, there are more deals falling through now than they were a year ago.
17%.
17% more cancellations.
Yep.
Is that scary?
Of every deal written, almost 1 in 5 is canceled.
Is that scary? That means if you have 10 people in your pipeline, you can count on 2 of those statistically not closing.
Just a funny comment while I'm talking on budget. I had a conversation with my wife on Saturday that I thought was hilarious.
Oh.
I was looking at our credit card bill. I'm like, holy crap, what's happened here? Because we put some stuff on there, gas and stuff, to earn points and silly things. And she goes, well, honey,
Christmas.
that's the extra. And I'm like, extra? We operate on a budget. How is there extra? She goes, well, it's outside the budget. Wow, get you on a budget class.
The budget, I still want it,
Yeah.
and that's when I use the card. About it, and it really is a realistic conversation. I think, like, let's make expense management fun as it can be. Because I actually believe there's a lot of power in knowing where all of your little dollars go off to. There's a lot of power there. There's a lot of power of knowing when Ken sees his credit card bill that apparently either the budget needs to increase by X amount or we got to decrease by X amount, right? It's not just extra. That's not just our extra, our fund. That's a pretty Ken. We just put it on a credit card when we want to do something we can't afford. Right, David, did you have a comment?
So, long time ago, I worked at a bank, and I guess one of the girls I worked with, she told me that somebody came in and they didn't understand how a credit card worked. They said, I used this one up, I need another one.
Oh, like I got you. But do you remember that thought? Like, you guys are, some of you are younger than me. I remember when my mom used to have to write checks. And if she'd be like, no, we can't do that, or you can't do that, I'd be like, just write a check. Like, it was just that same process, right? Like, just write a check. I know you don't need cash, write a check. It's no big deal, right? But we would think that. So yeah, let's make like a collective effort to not think that way. And not just to include that we can just, if we don't have it in the budget, we just put it on. Let's not live that way. So, couple ways that we're gonna remargin our business. So number one, we have to project our income based on your market. So where would we find information compared to what we were doing last year? We track it for you. Multi-year trends, we track it for you. It's super easy. So one thing that I think is important to look at your multi-year trends. If you look at your multi-year trend and you're like, I'm killing it, but you look at your trends and every year from October to January, you don't have any closings, you may think you're doing better than you are because you're not comparing it to your actual market. Or if you're looking at it and you're saying, the market's down 17%, I personally am down 10%, or I'm up 10%, or whatever it is, actually projecting your income based on what's happening in your market rate. You got to project actual income. You need to examine your expenses and identify areas to cut expenses. You have to protect your margins with a realistic budget. How do we figure out our margins? I think I might. So income. P&L, income, there was a whole class on this, it's called Age of Financials, it was a beautiful class. If you haven't done it, I'm sure we'll do it again. But you have to understand what you're gonna make, what your expenses are gonna be, what's remaining, that's your profit margin. Right, you still have to pay taxes. Don't forget about that. But that's your profit margin. If you're negative.
That was perfect.
That was perfect timing.
He's ready to do his profit and loss.
And then you have to protect your margins with a realistic budget. So I would suggest if you have not done this activity, so playing red light, green light with your expenses. This is a challenge that we gave to you guys once before. I don't think I have a slide for it, so I'm just gonna tell you because I think it's a really good exercise to do. Let me just get to the right spot. In order to determine what expenses there are, let me get to the right thing. So you're gonna get your handy dandy little highlighters, and I actually think this is better if you just print out your bank statements, print out your credit card statements. Credit card, that's where we need to get Ken's wife on board. Print those out. Print out everywhere you're spending money, and I actually think like a physical paper copy is a good way to do it. Do this with a partner, spouse, a friend, whoever you can get to help you walk through your expenses with you. And we're gonna play red light, green light with the expenses. So you need to have 3 different colors of market or 3 different colors of markers. The one in every single expense, so you can do this in your business and you're gonna do this personally. You're gonna look at it and you're gonna say, that expense is an absolute must have. It's an expense that is relevant for my business or it's relevant for my personal life. And it's a not cut. I cannot cut that item. Those are green. Any item that we're watching that we're like, oh man, I really do love having my Netflix account and it's costing me more money than it used to. And if push comes to shove, I'm getting rid of cable or whatever it is, that now gets highlighted orange. Why? Because we're going to watch those. 30 days from now, we're going to see where our money is. We're going to see what our budget looks like. We're going to see what our pipeline is. And we're gonna do orange on those ones. We're gonna cut those. We're gonna maybe cut those, but they're just on caution, right? So we're gonna watch those ones. And then your other color of marker can be red, it can be brown, it can be whatever color you don't love. Those are the colors, those are the expenses you're gonna cut. So you might be looking at that. The first time I did this activity, I was like, what in the heck is this? And I'm thinking, we're pretty good with our budget. It was on some Amex. I just have an Amex that I put stuff on, I pay it off every month. So I looked at it, I was like, what is this expense? And we're getting charged. I'm like going back months. It was Jed at some point had ordered something. Also, don't ever have Jed order things because he's the worst. But he was like, it was some free shipping thing that we were paying $12.99 a month for the one thing he ordered in like July the year before. And I didn't notice it. He didn't notice that she's getting paid. So little things like that you're going to find in there. What are those items that you can actually just cut out of the budget right now? I bet if you went through that, there's at least 10% in your business budget and your personal budget that you can cut. So green is like, I'm keeping it no matter what. It's paying for itself. I can't live without it. Orange is like caution. Let's watch this. Let's see what happens over the next few months. Hopefully we don't have to cut it. We really love our daily Starbucks, whatever it is, your guilty passion, you love your swig, whatever. You don't want to cut it, but you could if you had to. And then red is like, get those out of here now. What are those expenses that you're paying for that you do not need in your personal or your business budget? Step.
When we talked about this last time, Travis actually brought up a great idea. Your debit cards, cancel them today and then order a new one. So you'll get one in like 5 days or whatever. Order a new one, it will change and then you can get rid of everything that you're not using. So it's red light, green light. I actually ended up saving myself like almost $400 a month.
$400 a month?
Yeah, because I didn't need that stuff.
Guys, what does that add up to for a year? $4,800.
Yeah.
In stuff that she didn't need.
Yeah.
Okay, also word of caution with that, make sure that you have something in place that it's gonna notify you. Because if you just cut off a card and you don't have a notification, like maybe it goes to your Yahoo email that you never use because you've got it for a really long time. Just make sure you didn't show. That's a great idea. That's a great example.
So that's what happened with me.
Or put a hold on your card. Put a notification that anytime something gets charged without a physical card present, it sends you a notification. Why is that going to be helpful? Because your physical card isn't present when it gets charged for the Gift House USA free delivery subscription, because apparently we were ordering a lot of gifts. So I think it was a 30-day free trial. Really great. So you're gonna determine your margins. We're gonna do that by looking at our pipeline, our expenses, coming up with our remainder. We're gonna cut the fat, and then we're gonna protect our margins. We gotta look at the margins, so we gotta protect this amount. We have to have that amount to live on. So calculate your pipeline, determine your expenses, find the margin, lower personal expenses, lower business expenses. I promise you, this will be a time well spent in an activity. It really will. This should be something that you're doing on at least twice a year basis. I think it's better if you do it quarterly, or if you're doing it, if you're in the habit of just doing your monthly P&L, and it's just a quick little thing that you're doing, take the time to look through and evaluate, where did you spend your money? Like we have been doing some remodel stuff, and so I feel like our budget's been all over the place. I've been super busy. I'm usually the one who watches those and does our P&L and watches the finances. And there's things where I'm like, oh my gosh, we have spent so much money at Lowe's this week or this month or whatever. And it's like, was that even in our budget? Because we probably didn't need to just get it if it wasn't in the budget, right? So make sure you're paying attention to that. And this is just going through that again. So essentials is what you must have. You obviously have to keep paying your mortgage. So that would be a green. Don't turn that one red. It's nice to have. So this is personal dining out, takeout. This is like your Starbucks, your Swig, your gym membership. Those are nice to have. Can't live without. Or you can live without. I'm just like, can live without. So this is like your streaming subscriptions. Maybe you have Hulu, Netflix, and Peacock.
You did the free trial for
You
Yellowstone.
did the free trial for Yellowstone and you forgot about it. You really wanted to see the Outlander series, so you bought Stars and you're like, what is this charge on Amazon every month? That was mine. I did that one. And you forgot to cancel it. So you can live without those things, right? So cut those out immediately. Get them out of the budget. And then the rest of them, this says cut by next week. I think the nice to haves are evaluate. I think that's drastic to cut by next week, but I think you really should evaluate those things and say, do I have to have this? Can I live without it if I have to? And just have those highlighted so now they're fresh in your mind. You're gonna think a little bit differently if you are like, I'm watching my Diet Coke budget, and then you're going to pay for $3 for one. You're gonna think about it different. Right? It's a little different. I wish you had a song to play for that.
Yeah.
Did you
Turn
pull
your
up something on
Facebook back
TikTok?
on?
I would check in. Hold up.
He's red, right? Well, if the business thinks through, does this expense generate a lead or close a transaction? Is anybody paying for stuff that they never have gotten any return on, but you're just like, I just do it. We all do it, right? So actually hold the expense accountable. So you're either gonna start, what did you say? Hold your membership accountable, Kenzie. If you're not sure for me 3 days a week, cancel it.
You know,
You told me not to.
Also, if you don't want to cancel a gym membership, you might as well die.
You have to have a barcode and all this other crap.
you're gonna save money on lemon. It's gonna trickle to so many. You don't have to worry about your pockets.
The gym may be in that essential to have, like that might be like your mental, physical health, that must be essential. You're gonna make those own decisions. Nobody else is gonna walk through this with you and say, no, that's not essential. For me, coffee is something that's never getting cut out of my budget. I don't go to Starbucks hardly ever, but every single day in my house, I will have coffee. So my K-cups are never going away. That is essential. You're all gonna be happy for it. But could I cut out something? Probably. And then same thing. So when you're in your business, does this expense generate a lead or close a transaction? If there's something that's getting a reoccurring charge that's, you're like, it was only $30 a month when I signed up or whatever, but you're not using it, cut it out. It's just wasted money. Put it towards something else that's gonna give you better money. Again, essential to have is like you're performing lead generation things that are working, you're coaching and training. I think a lot of times when people are evaluating business expenses, they start to question, is a coach necessary? Absolutely it is. That's not an area you should cut, is coaching or training. So this is not me giving you an excuse to not go to family reunion. That is the area you should not cut. That is a critical area of your business. That's nice to have office space and print marketing, but you don't have to have it. And things you can live without are vendor contracts. Like what are those contracts that you have that you're paying regularly that you're not really utilizing at home? The 2 budget mindset principles: invest, don't spend. So when you think of what you spend as investments, it's about opportunity with your expenses, not an obligation. And then practice accountability, not accounting. Don't think of it as accounting as an obligation. Use your budget to hold yourself accountable. This is, I think, if you can, we're talking about mindset shift. If you can shift the way you think about money, and I know for myself, this is something that I've focused very hard on with my kids, because I grew up in a house where we didn't talk about it. We just didn't, you know, and it wasn't because we had so much money. It was almost like a scarcity mindset around it. It's something you didn't talk about with the kids. Oh my gosh, ask my kids. I am constantly talking about money because I want them to be fiscally responsible adults. And I want them to understand that you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to be willing to work for it or make your money work for you through investing. So don't be afraid of the money talk. Like really, as you're digging into the activities and looking at market shifting, don't be afraid to look at your budget and really use it as a tool to hold yourself accountable to what you want to do. Because we went to a leadership roadshow a couple weeks ago, and they interviewed several people in KW Utah region that have had great success through investing, wealth building, those kind of things. And one of the things that Boyd Brown said was he'll put things under contract that he now knows he has to go figure out a way to afford them. Right. And I was like, man, that is gutsy. And he's got a higher risk factor probably than some of the other people on the panel. Like he's fine. He's not risk adverse. But for him, he knew he had to have a certain amount of money. So he was going to work for that amount of money. He's holding that accountable. That's holding his business accountable. Another thing that was said that I loved is that you're responsible. Marcus said this, that you're responsible for two versions of you're responsible for two people. One is your family right now. So what's your current situation? You're responsible for those. But you're also responsible for that future version of your family. So what are you doing today to protect that future version of your family? And even if you are making so much money, you still have to have a budget and you still have to be aware of your expenses. And I get it. A lot of us got out of the habit because when the average commission went from $4,000 to $15,000 in 8 years, it made our money feel easier to get. And so I think a lot of us lost sight of really managing our money well. So just be aware of that. Manage your expenses, manage your budget. Don't be afraid of it. Don't use it as a scary word. If you're looking at it and you're like, man, I am scraping by with 12 cents in my account at the end of each month, figure out ways to generate different income, figure out what we can do differently. If you need a thought partner in this, we can sit down with you and help you look at your expenses, help you work through your budget. But it's critical that you do it. You can't bury your head in the sand when it comes to finances. You just can't. So if you can change your mindset around them, do something fun, make it be a reward that you look at your expenses at the end of each week, you get to go to ice cream or something, right? Like figure out something that you can do, but change your mindset around money. Have an abundant mindset. You know, I think many of you know this story, but when Jen and I first got married, we were poor. Like we did not have a lot of money. We were like trying to figure out how we could pay the mortgage payment. And if we sent it by a check, probably wouldn't clear till this day. And then maybe none of you in that room have been, maybe none of you in this room have been in that position, but I was. And I didn't want to have that as an experience for my kids. And I also didn't want to have it as I didn't want that to be what our life looked like. And if I would have just stuck my head in the sand about money and said, God, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. It stresses me out, because it did. It was very stressful. It made me be really aware of what we were doing, how we were budgeting. And I adopted a mindset at that time of just, I'll always have more money than anything I could ever need. I'm going to have more money than that. Right. And I would tell myself that all the time. I would look at my bank account and be like, oh my gosh, I got 3 overdraft charges and at least they passed this one through. But I would be sitting there telling myself, it's okay. You have more money than for anything you could ever need. And you have to adopt a mindset around that. You really do have to be aware of it. I know we're on a little bit of a soapbox, but I think it's really important. And I think there's a lot of us, I'm using us collectively, I'm not looking at anyone. I think there's a lot of us that haven't actually, the reality of what we spend has not caught up with the reality of what our business is doing. And we're still living a lifestyle that we were before. And maybe we're not in action to maintain that same amount of income that we had. Does that make sense? That's my challenge to you. This is funny. Some common budgeting traps are spending more money than you make. Weird. Oh, Ken, do you want me to send you this slide?
Yeah, I can take a picture.
Picture. Or spending everything that you make. Guys, there's going to be a rainy day that you are gonna need to get a new set of tires, you're gonna need something. And what did you say?
The tires are the worst.
There's gonna be something that comes up, and if you've spent every single dollar that you've made, are those situations way more stressful? When we talk about fear, and we talk about anxiety, that exists because we feel out of control with what is happening. If we can even just say, and this can start tiny little baby steps, you can save $10 or 10% out of a check, whatever that is, have a little rainy day fund. Okay, I'm gonna skip through the rest of these because there's so much information, but I do want to just go to the action plans. So again, you have these sheets with you. Create an action plan. This is your homework for before Friday's class. Okay, so your little worksheets. Have it filled out, have it ready. Let's collaborate. Let's make a decision that we're all gonna win together. I don't want anybody to be a victim of a challenging market in this office. I want us to walk through the other side. It's gonna be like, there's gonna be music playing, sun's gonna start. It's gonna be sunshine and rainbows, but the rain didn't even have to get here. It's just a giant rainbow. Unicorns are shooting sparklers out of their horns, and we're winning together. And I believe we can, as long as we shift our actions and we get real and we make sure that we're staying in activity of the things that are gonna matter. So do the action. Don't just walk out of class today and say, that was great. Rusty took us to church again, preaching about budgets. Just really determine what you're gonna take. Determine what you're gonna take and what action you're gonna do. Okay, not everyone will, but everyone can. It's not rocket science, guys. We are not surgeons. Because then we would kill someone. That is possible. You're not gonna kill somebody in a real estate transaction. So not everyone will, but everyone can. Every single one of you have the power to be successful in this market. You have the power to make money in any market. It's not the market that determines your success. It's you and your actions and what you do. So who is coming to book club on Friday? Okay, if you need a copy of Shift, let us know. And any ahas, anything you want to share before we grab our sponsor?
You have copies here right now.
Yes, Chris does in his.
My aha was scheduling a green light event.
Ooh,
Go through my stuff.
I love it. Is it in your calendar?
It is actually.
Okay, good. It's not your calendar. It doesn't exist. Did anyone else put that in your calendar? If you thought to yourself, I need to do that, put it in your calendar before you leave this meeting today.
Don't change your gym membership.
Thank you for sharing your aha. Anyone else? I've got 2 more ahas really quick because I know that was a lot of content.
There was so much.
I know I have like subscriptions to like shows that
They're just going on that card. You don't even think about it.
Do you want to join
There's
us
a-
at 10 a.m. on Monday?
there's like at least 3 or 4 that I thought of why you brought that up.
Isn't it funny how you're like,
I don't even have a password.
I got it for Yellowstone.
Someone else is using your
And I have so much makeup and it just comes every month.
Makeup subscription, cancel that.
Cancel that.
Get rid of it. I used to be like, oh, I think it. And I'm like, I have so much stuff
was
from my
so sick.
$50 order box.
So dumb.
Who else? Any other ahas?
I guess I got one. So for me, like starting, when I started, obviously it was the tail end of COVID, so everyone's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you getting into real estate? And I was like, let's do this, like,
Yeah.
I'll take market share, right? And I didn't have any like worries or scares, and now that I've been in it and seen things and like, there's a lot more going on right now, and there's a lot more complexity, I think, to what the market's doing, and so I'm like a little worried. And then I'm like, tell myself, no, you're good, like, you're still doing all the things you need to be doing, right? And then as I see these things from agents constantly popping up, they're trying to get into my head too, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to overthink things and like prepare myself, and I'm like, wait, push those things out. But then when you talked about the 3 different personality types of like being super pessimistic, super optimistic, or the third,
Realistically.
and that's like truly where I'm living in, because I'm letting it in to think about it, like not just saying everything's rainbows and butterflies. So it's like, it's reassuring to know that I'm in the mindset I should be kind of concerned about those things and thinking about them, processing them, not shutting them out. But I also think like, what's that doing to their clients when they're voicing that out on Facebook as well? Like, what message are they conveying to their folks, right?
It is so true. I've seen so many agents that post the most negative things about the market. I'm like, what are you doing? That's not an information conversation, guys. If you're just like being negative about, people are seeing that and you want to like, it's just human nature. You want to work with winners, right? Like you want to, if you're going to make one of the most important financial decisions you're ever going to make in your life, you want to work with someone who's confident that no matter what the challenge, you'll figure it out. Right? You're going to bulletproof your transactions because you're going to figure it out. Sally used to be sales business. All she did is talk to doom and gloom all the time. Are her clients going to be excited about having a conversation with her if all she has is negative on Facebook, social media, and those words you're saying to yourself matter too. Right?
And reach out to those agents because those agents, probably just need a little bit of help, you know, or understanding, or maybe they just need somebody to talk to. Or the second part about that is you guys could, if they do get out, if they do get out of the market, you could, you know, ask for their SOI too. You could put out their data.
A lot of opportunity in a market that's shifting, right? A lot of opportunity. A lot of people are going to decide that this isn't the market, and that's okay, right? It's not for everybody. A lot of people are going to decide they don't want to lead generate more. And so let's figure out a way that how can we help them win? It's all about a win-win, right? So how can we help them win while we win by working our database? So some referrals, there's some other things we can do there. Maybe we don't pay for their database. We might get a slow clap. There we go. All right, awesome. Our sponsor today is Jared with Just Pended. Friend, come on down. Get out of your way.
I don't have a slide today, so I'm gonna try not to ramble. My name is Garrett Menez. Some of you guys know me, if you recognize the faces. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a real estate photographer, real estate media. We say media because we do a little bit of photography video side too. And now we're getting into the social media side as well. So, real quick, just by a raise of hands, who posts regularly on social media right now? Cool, and guys. Who doesn't post regularly on social media, but feels like they should?
Don't be shy to raise your hands, guys.
Yeah, don't be shy. I'm in that group too, so I know how you feel. So we've been working on something new, branding content and photography. So before I was in real estate, I was a freelance videographer. I did social media content, short form content, and for the last like year or so, me and my business partners have been figuring out a way to merge that into the real estate world. One thing we've noticed is that the real estate world seems to be a little bit behind on like the social media side. Some people get it, but a lot of people just don't post as much. So we wanted to make it accessible to everybody. So we have a new program that we're rolling out, like literally this month that we started talking about it. We are pretty much offering a full like done for you service, start to finish. So photography is going to be covered, the video is going to be covered, the actual posting side is going to be covered. The topics of the content is also going to be covered, script, all that kind of stuff. So it takes all the guesswork out for you guys. Really just makes it so that you just have to show up and show some of your expertise, for example, for me and whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted to real quick throw that out there, and if anybody is interested or interested in that type of service, let's connect after the fact. But yeah, does anybody have questions on that? That's pretty much all I have, just a quick little spiel on that.
Okay, you're gonna hang out for a minute, so if
Yeah.
anybody has questions, they can come out.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Sometimes it's a
Yeah, no, I'll be around, so I didn't want to take up a lot of time. I just wanted to throw that out there just because this is like such a new program, so. Yeah, if anybody has questions or is interested, just connect with me after the fact. I know a couple of you guys already have my contact information, so. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, everybody. Don't forget your homework. Love on Friday.